Right before World War II, Remington decided to upgrade its civilian bolt-action rifle and came up with quite a good gun, the Model 720. But it really didn't go anywhere, except into warehouses of the U.S. Navy.
The Remington Model 720 is the bolt-action sporting rifle that World War II killed. Remington intended the 720 to replace its Model 30 bolt-action rifle. Now, the Model 30 had basically been an adaptation to sporting configuration of the U.S. Model 1917 Enfield type rifles.
In 1941, they took the last iteration of the Model 30 and they created basically a new version of it. It had a strikingly different bolt handle. The stock was beefier. They made some internal improvements. The lock time was much faster. They are gorgeous rifles. And they hit the market shortly before December 7th, 1941. Those rifles came in 3 calibers, .270, .257 Roberts, and .30-06.
They really had a good item there. 30-06, that bolt-action rifle was quite a contender. Problem is that the war broke out in December 1941, just as the Model 720 was starting to roll off the assembly lines, and the production of the gun was literally taken over by the U.S. Navy almost in total. There were only 2,500 guns made in the short lifespan of the 720 between 1941 and 1945. The Remington Model 720 is an interesting chapter in Remington history. It's kind of the story of what might have been. The Remington Model 30, its predecessor, was a bolt-action sporting rifle that was, considered by some to be a good competitor to the Winchester Model 70, which was gaining steam in the pre-World War II era of civilian sporting goods. The Model 720 was sought after as an upgrade to that Model 30, something to keep Remington more competitive with the Winchester Model 70. And it was something that they really had a good item there. In 30-06, that bolt-action rifle was quite a contender.
Maybe around 2,500 Model 720s were made. A large number of them were purchased by the U.S. military, and they basically sat in storage. They weren't really issued anywhere of significance. And around 1960, an order was issued that they should all be destroyed.
Then one of our friends here retired from the NRA. This was his second career. Major Cam Hayden, U.S. Marine Corps, at that time was an active duty Marine and part of the U.S. Marine Corps marksmanship unit, and very well acquainted with the Marine Corps competitive program out of Quantico and at Camp Perry. And he ran across an order ordering these guns destroyed, and was able to kind of get a stay of execution on them.
Major Hayden went to the Secretary of the Navy, and he said, "We need a Secretary of the Navy trophy that's a sporting rifle." Secretary of the Navy says, "Great idea. What do you propose?" "Well, there are these 1,000 rifles that are in Crane, Indiana." And so the last of the rarest of the modern Remingtons became a trophy for Navy shooters. And they gave away about 20 a year. And they are exquisite.
The 720, which was thought to be pretty much worthless in an asterisk in the footnote of Second World War armament, is now quite collectible because the numbers are very limited and they're very well controlled. You have to actually earn it to get it. And another interesting thought about it is that it too was the foundation for what would become the Remington 700, which would see and continues to see service in our military forces throughout the world as one of the premier sniper rifles ever put in the field.
The Model 720 is actually a pretty rare gun. Really, the only ways to get one are to win a match that the Secretary of the Navy gives you one, or take your chances on Gunbroker. That's all the time that we have this week. If you like this show and you're not an NRA member, you need to join right now. Go to AmericanRifleman.org. I'm Mark Keefe, and I'll see you next week right here on American Rifleman Television.